Hello everybody, yes, welcome to my new series, Battle Stations, whereby I review several versions of one game. Yeah, and for my first episode, I'm going to be doing Roadrunner. Um, now, now, um, now you're probably thinking this series is probably going to be very much like a rip-off of Andy's 8-Bit Wars series. Well, to to be fair, well, what Andy does is he picks a game, chooses for the Commodore 64 Spectrum Amstrad, and he picks a winner. What's the best one? With this one, I'm going to look at pretty much all the different versions. If I leave any out, let me know. But yeah, in this case, for example, I won't just be doing the Commodore 64 Spectrum Amstrad versions. I'll be looking at the Atari ST one as well. And basically, what I'll do is there'll be no winner. I'll just be picking. I'll just go for each one, examine each version, examine their good and bad points. Basically, it's like imagine several reviews rolled into one video. Anyway, the first game I'm looking at is, of course, Roadrunner. This was released by Atari in 1985, originally in the arcade. This is the arcade version that's playing now. Basically, the idea is you play as Roadrunner, and you've basically got to get from one end of the level, from one end of the other level to the other, whilst avoiding Wile E. Coyote. Of course, always has a few evil tricks, up his sleeve, in basically trying to get you. And of course, this is based on the Warner Brothers cartoon series, which I absolutely love. Loved it back then, and I still love it now. Now, of course, Wile E. Coyote will not just use his two legs. So often he'll come around and chase you on things like rockets and pogo sticks, and all kinds of crazy Acme style weaponry you can get his hands on. Which makes for a very fun game because when his weapons fail, they usually end up in they usually fail in such a comical way. Right. Now, of course, you can't. It's not just about getting from one end of the level. You've got to basically try and collect up as many bird seeds you can. Otherwise, because if you miss up to 5 bird seeds, Roadrunner will pass out and Wiley will catch you. And of course you can do things. Of course, along the way you'll come across ways of trapping Wiley Coyote and hurting him and things and whatnot, and use to score extra points for it. Anyway, that's Roadrunner, the arcade game. You see that. I think the arcade game is really good fun. Definitely check out MAME if you got it. Anyway, let's move on to the next version that I'm going to look at, which is the ZX Spectrum version. Now, all the home conversions were done by US Gold. Actually, they're developed by a company called Canvas, and so they're of course, US Gold were the publishers. Now, the first thing you notice is the Spectrum version. So, nice loading screen there as well. Actually, the first thing I noticed is that it's how quite nice it looks in terms of the presentation. Like I just said, the loading screen looks very good. The title screen, as you can see here, the game appears in like a little border. Sort of thing. It's bordered, but even the border looks quite nice actually. Looks really colourful for Spectrum, and I love it when I see Spectrum games in colour. But anyway, let's just see how the game plays. Yeah, well, this is what the game looks like. Yeah, it's colour, but it's sort of not colour, if you know what I mean. The sprites are all in black. Yeah, the sprites in the actual playing area is black and white. Sound-wise, apart from a few nice little beepy tunes on the title screen, unfortunately, this is 48K. This is only 48K. But nice music for 48K system. The sound size, it's just the usual beep. Roadrunner's beep when you get the bird seed. But apart from that gameplay, I don't. To tell the truth, the Spectrum version is not very good. I mean, graphics, right? Okay, it's got the attribute problems there. As you just see, Roadrunner's often changing to yellow and red, depending on whatnot. But of course, this is the flaw of the system. But of course, I've seen many games that have appeared in full colour that don't have much in the way of colour clash. This one, unfortunately, does have colour clash, but it's nice to see a colourful game on the Spectrum. But I don't think the Spectrum version is that well programmed, to be honest with you guys. I think this, in fact, quite frankly, I think the program on this port is rather quite shoddy. The worst bit of the worst example in this one is just trying to pick up the bird seed. It's it's one of the most it's one of the most important things. You want to run from wily character, you got to pick up the bird seed, otherwise you exhaust. But the thing is, half the time you can't even pick up the bird seed because the hit detection is crap. It is dire. It is just so unbelievably poor. And a lot of the times whereby the cars have come along and I've tried to get Riley Coyote to run into them, he never seems to freaking die. He just seems to go right through them. No, that's very bad if you ask me. Now, of course, and another thing as well, the computer program, the AI in this one is remarkably cheap and unfair. As you can see, now the thing is, Wily Coyote on the arcade version and all the other versions will only get the skateboard out if you travel too far to the left of the screen. But here he just seems to, look, he just seems to get on his skateboard no matter what. He just seems to randomly think about getting on his skateboard. No, that's very shoddy programming. Very, very shoddy if you ask me. And it's even worse on later levels, whereby when he's on the rocket. On level 2, he goes and gets his rocket. Actually, the rocket doesn't even appear on the screen. He just goes back off the screen, and then he doesn't come back until you go to the right of the screen to navigate your maze, and then you die because he's come along on his rocket and you couldn't see him coming. Now that's just cheap. That is very, very bad programming, if you ask me. Really, really. Really bad programming, that one. And that's the thing that ruins this version. I don't really enjoy this version much, guys. Graphically, it really. Graphically, it's fine. It looks really colourful for a Spectrum game, which is really nice. Music-wise, it's only 48K, but the programming could have been so much better. Oh, and another thing to note as well, it doesn't work on the plus 2A or the plus 3. Only the 48K and 128K and plus 2 systems. But I will provide a patch version if you do want to play on your plus 3 or your plus 2A, but it's not really worth it. Anyway, now that's enough of the Spectrum version. Let's take a look at the Amstrad one, the Amstrad CPC. Once again, a nice colourful looking border, but again, reduced screen size. Let's just see how this one plays. And of course, it's one thing I've got to note, with all the home conversions of the games, they do multi-load. You have to load in each level separately. So it's something to bear in mind when you're playing the Commodore 64 Spectrum and Amstrad versions from tape. Well, first things first. The Amstrad version, graphically it does look very nice. Nice, and it's a nice looking version. The only thing I could probably complain about is obviously the screen size and the fact is it's actually quite a slow game. Yeah, it is a very, very slow moving game, this one, and it's just not very exciting to play. And add to the fact that there's absolutely minimal sound as well. When you consider the sound, the Amstrad had the same sound chip as the Spectrum 128K and the Amstrad CPC. Seriously, this, the Spectrum version is a 48K game, and this one, you think this one would have some music, but no. And that's another thing I forgot to know about the arcade version, and of course all the other versions as well, is the shortcut. If you play the game and you lose all your lives on a later level, you can take the shortcut on level 1 and you'll advance to the last level where you previously died, and you'll get an extra life as well. But of course your score won't be. You won't get quite such a high score. So for the Amstrad version, it looks nice, but the sound is minimal. The game is very slow, and another thing I noticed as well, when you scroll, when the screen scrolls, Wile E. Coyote stops running. If you look very carefully to where he is to that, in comparison to that boulder, you'll actually find that when the screen scrolls, he actually stops moving, which means that very quickly you'll go to the It means that very quickly you'll go too far to the left of the screen, and then he'll end up going on to the right and get his skateboard. At least that bit was planned properly, but unfortunately the scrolling, the fact that Wile E. Coyote kind of stops running. Well, he's doing the running animation, but he stops running in comparison to where you are, to where you and the other objects are and stuff. That's not very good at all. But yeah, and saying that the hit detection is better as well. So overall, this doesn't have the slick presentation as the Spectrum one, and it still has a few problems. But it's better. It's slightly better than the Spectrum one, but not by much. But yeah, which is a kind shame, really. I think once again this is a case whereby the home conversion could have done a little bit better. And sound. Yeah, and like I said, sound wise, it's minimal things and whatnot, things like that. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's enough I can say about the Amstrad CPC version. Once again, like the Spectrum one, it could have been better. In some ways, it's better than the Spectrum version. But in some ways, it's still not a particularly great one. Anyway, that's enough of the Amstrad CPC version. Let's move on to the Commodore 64. Now, the Commodore 64 version was, in fact, the first version I played, and it was only about a week or two ago, I think it was. About 2 weeks ago, I think. I was just basically browsing through my Commodore 64 ROMs, and I found this. And I was hooked on it. And, of course, I went on to play the arcade game and all the other versions and stuff, leading to me creating this video. So you could say this is the version that made me really like this game. And the truth, in comparison to all the other versions, I actually think this is probably the best conversion out of the lot. Even better than the Atari ST one, but we'll get to that one. But yeah, what can I say about the Commodore 64 version? Well, for a start, it's got some music, and the music in this is really good, really impressive. And yeah, it's really catchy, it's memorable. Of course, it's the renditions of well-known pieces of music. The gameplay is pretty damn well, actually. It's nice and smooth. Makes very good use of the Commodore 64 scrolling hardware. Graphically, it's nice and simple. Does the job. And it's just a very nicely done version. And it's really playable. It's a lot more. It's more fun and exciting to play than any of the other versions, really. Of course, not counting the arcade version, which is which is also great. But I love this version, and like I said, this is the one that this is the one that really really got me into this game. And now, of course, like all the other versions, it's a multi-load. You have to load in every single level. Playing from tape is okay. I've actually got a tape version of this now, and playing from tape, it's all right. The loading times aren't overly long, but playing from disc is phenomenal. The loading times are extra quick, as you can see in this video. Each level loads up in about 10 seconds, which is quite fast. But then again, the levels aren't very big. I think this is I really love this version, guys. I'm very, very, very impressed by it. I think quite a few others would agree as well. The only issue I have is that sometimes the roadrunner gets a bit stuck when he touches the side of the road. So maybe a bit of control and hit detection issues for that. But overall, it's a really, really impressive conversion. I would say it's one of the best conversions I've played on the Commodore 64. Of any game really, and it's a really good fun little game. It's really playable. It's great fun. It's fast. It's frantic. It's very smooth. The music, as is what you come to expect from the SID chip, is excellent. and graphically it looks quite nice as well. Obviously, not outstanding graphics, but nice and simple, and they do the job. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the Commodore 64 version, and I'm so happy that I actually went out and bought a copy of this one. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very impressive conversion. I know I keep harking about how good it is, but it is a very good one. Poor Commodore getting stuck in his Play-Doh stick. Yeah, I hate it when he gets on that one. But the worst weapon is comes up in level 4. But I think it's basically where he's got like this. Oh dear, yeah, yawner armor. Yeah, but yeah, I think the worst weapon he has is level 4, whereby he has like this flying helicopter, and yeah, it's really irritating. He drops dynamite bomb sticks on you and whatnot. But anyway, alright, that is the Commodore 64 version. Fantastic version. I really do love it. And it's a great version game. Yeah, I seriously suggest you give it a go. Anyway, let's move on to the final version, which of course is the Atari ST. Now this is the only version I've got that has this little startup screen, and it also keeps a record of all the high scores as well. I mean, obviously the other versions have a high score and whatnot, but they don't actually have a high score table, which gives this one the advantage, I suppose. And of course, another thing as well is that at least when you play the arcade version and this version as well, it's basically when you start the game, it starts with like how the cartoon started out. Yeah, introduced the characters and then came up with their they're all sort of like made up sort of like Latin name, if you know what I mean, like Roadrunner is usually like Speedius, Incrediblus, and whatnot, if you know what I mean. So this is the only version to do that. But anyway, graphical wise, this version the sprites and stuff look very. In fact, the Roadrunner sprite looks very similar to the Amstrad CPC version. Graphically, obviously you can't really compare it to the 8-bit versions. Yeah, obviously this is probably the best looking one. Sorry guys, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Oh dear. I must be tired, but I'm not bored. No, graphically it looks nice. It looks okay. It's very slowed out. I also don't like the fact that in this version the speed of the game changes just out of the blue. Sometimes it runs slow, sometimes it runs really fast. A bit more programming in terms of the speed of the game would have been better. I have some little bit of difficulty picking up the bird seed, but it's okay. But I think the music wise, it's quite good, considering it's it uses the same soundtracks found in the Amstrad CPC and the Spectrum 128. Now I don't know why they didn't include this music on the Amstrad CPC version, or even include this music for Spectrum owners who have a 128K machine. But, oh well. Well, which I thought was a bit weird. But but the Atari ST version is okay. It's not a great version. I'd probably say it's better than the. I'd say it's definitely better than the Spectrum and the Amstrad versions, although it's pretty close to the Amstrad one really. But obviously this is slightly better, but not by much. But overall, I think this. But I'm just disappointed at the fact that this is not better than the Commodore 64 one. Because the Commodore 64 one, great version, love it. But with this being on a more powerful system, I would expect it to be even better. But it just isn't. I suppose in a way this was quite an early Atari ST release. This was released in about '85, I think. So yeah, you could say this was an early. Yeah, so you could couldn't really fault them for that. Yeah, it's an early release, but just getting used to the system. But I really was for the Atari ST one. It's good, but I was expecting a lot better. But yeah. Anyway, so that's the end of my my little multiple review video of my battle systems video of Roadrunner. Do check out my advice. Check out the arcade version or the Commodore 64 ones. The Spectrum and Atari ST ones, give them a try. I give them a try. They're not total catastrophes. They're not total disasters, but it's just, I think they really could have been a lot better. Not better there. Anyway, this is Portable over and out. I should be back soon with another video, and in the meantime, goodbye for now.
Things like this, things like that.
It's all good in the long run.